Okay, let's jump in. We're doing a deep dive today looking at positive thinking.
Right.
It's a topic we hear about constantly. And this whole dive actually comes from a really interesting piece shared by one of you listening. It gives a specific angle on it.
Yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it? That phrase, think positive. But what does it really mean practically?
Exactly. So our goal here is to unpack what this specific source says. Figure out its key ideas, why it argues positive thinking matters, and, crucially, the actual tools it offers.
Getting beyond the buzzword.
Totally. So let's start with how this source defines it. Because interestingly, it starts by saying what it isn't.
Which is powerful, I think. It says right up front, this is not about sticking your head in the sand. It's not ignoring reality or pretending bad things aren't happening.
Right. It's not like slap a smiley sticker on a genuine problem.
No. The source frames it as a deliberate choice. You're choosing where to put your focus on the possibilities, not just getting bogged down by the problems.
And it calls it training your brain, like actively shifting that inner voice.
Yeah, moving from maybe, why is this happening to me, which is pretty passive.
So jumping more like, okay, what can I actually learn here? More proactive.
Precisely. That shift seems key in the source. It describes it as developing this emotional stance that looks for optimistic paths and expects good results, generally.
But, and this feels important, the source is clear that struggles are still part of it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Facing tough times, adversity, that's just being human. The positive mindset, according to this, isn't about not struggling.
It's about not letting the struggle completely take over your whole outlook.
Exactly, not letting it control your mind.
Okay, so if that's this active choice, focusing on potential even when things are hard.
Yeah.
Why does this source say it's so important? What's the impact?
Well, this is where it gets quite compelling. It talks about real, tangible effects. It even mentions studies linking positive thinking to things like potentially a longer life, better ways of handling stress,
Wow.
and maybe even a stronger immune system.
So it's drawing a direct line from your thoughts to your physical health.
It really is. The source highlights that mind-body connection. Like if you're constantly stuck in negative loops, it actually triggers physical stress responses. Things like cortisol spikes those stress hormones, which can lead to poor sleep, more anxiety. It's a physiological thing.
So it's not just in your head in a dismissive way. Your body is actually reacting.
Exactly. And the flip side, the source suggests, is also true. When you consciously shift your mindset towards more positive framing,
Your body can kind of follow suit, settle down.
yeah, it can help your body heal, align with that less stressed, more sort of hopeful state. The source uses a really great analogy for this.
Oh, yeah.
It paints this picture. Negative thoughts are like weeds in a garden. Positive thoughts are like seeds. And whatever you focus on, whatever you water, that's what's going to grow in your mind.
That weed and seed thing really clicks. It makes it feel intentional. But, speaking of intentions, there are so many myths around this stuff. What does the source say about common misconceptions?
It tackles a few directly. The first big one, which we kind of touched on, is this idea that positive thinking just means ignoring anything bad.
Right, the head in the sand thing again.
And the source says, no, the truth is actually the opposite. It's about facing reality, whatever it is, but facing it with hope, with inner strength. It's about your approach.
Not denying the problem exists. Okay, what's myth number 2?
That positive thinkers are just always happy, like 247 sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, that seems unrealistic.
Totally. And the source agrees. It says, look, people with a positive outlook still feel sad, frustrated, angry, the whole range. That's normal.
So what's the difference then?
The difference, according to this material, is they don't get stuck there. They don't just dwell in those negative feelings indefinitely. They feel them, process them, and choose to move forward.
Feeling versus dwelling. That's a useful distinction. Okay, third myth.
This is a big one. If you just think positive thoughts, poof, everything magically fixes itself. Like wishful thinking is enough.
Right, like it's passive magic.
And the source really pushes back on that. It says positive thinking gives you crucial internal resources. Like it can bring clarity, boost motivation, give you energy.
Which you might not have otherwise.
Exactly. But you still have to actually do things. You have to take action in the world.
So positive thinking is like the fuel or the map, but you still have to drive the car.
That's a great way to put it. It's the foundation for action, not a substitute for it.
Okay, so it's not magic, but it helps you do the work. Which brings us to the really practical bit. How does this source say you actually build this mindset? What are the tools?
Yeah, this is where it gets really useful. It lays out several concrete things you can do. First one, daily gratitude practice.
And it gives specifics on how, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests something simple, like jotting down just 3 things you're genuinely grateful for each day, morning or night. And the why behind it, the source says, is that doing this consistently actually starts to rewire your brain. It trains you to automatically scan for the good.
Actively training your focus. That's interesting. What's tool number 2?
Affirmations. Now, the source mentions these, but adds a really important point. They work best if you actually believe them, or at least you're open to believing them.
So it's not just repeating empty phrases.
Right. There needs to be some connection. It gives examples to start with, like, I am capable, or I handle challenges with grace.
And the idea is to say them daily.
Yep. Repeat them daily to reinforce those positive beliefs. Seems like consistency is key with these tools.
Definitely a theme. Okay, what else does the source recommend?
Surrounding yourself with positivity. And it's pretty direct about this. It means being mindful of who you spend time with, yes, but also the content you consume.
Like the news, social media, books, podcasts.
Exactly. What you read, watch, listen to, because your mind is constantly absorbing that stuff, right?
Yeah, it shapes your mental environment.
Precisely. Curating that input is part of building a positive mindset, according to this.
Makes sense. Okay, tool number 4.
This one's called flip the script. It's a very active technique for catching negative thoughts in the moment.
How does that work?
When you notice yourself thinking something negative and definite, like, I can't do this, the source suggests you literally change it. Turn that statement into a question.
So instead of I can't,
you ask, okay, how can I learn to do this? Or maybe, what's the first step I could take?
so you shift from a dead end to an open door.
Exactly. That simple change from statement to question opens up possibilities and changes the energy around the problem. It's quite clever.
That's a really practical one. And the last tool mentioned.
Mindfulness and meditation. And it stresses you don't need hours. Even just 5 minutes a day can make a difference.
And the benefit here is
primarily gaining awareness of your own thoughts, just noticing them without immediate judgment.
Why is that so important?
Because that awareness is what lets you catch the negative thought spirals before they really take hold and run away with you. It allows you to then choose one of the other tools, like flipping the script.
Right. That awareness seems like the foundation for everything else. You have to notice the weeds before you can pull them, going back to that analogy.
It really ties it all together. It brings it back to that core message from the source about having agency, even when things feel out of control externally.
So if we boil down the main takeaway from this particular source, it seems to be, life will throw stress, fear, doubt at you that's a given. But you always have the power to choose your next thought. And that choice matters a lot.
Yeah, it frames positive thinking not as some fluffy idea or a magic wand,
but as a skill. A mindset that takes real, consistent practice, like learning anything else.
And this deep dive, based on this source, gives us the what, the why, and crucially, some clear how-tos for that practice.
Definitely. And the source actually ends with a question for you, the listener, to think about. It kind of sums it all up.
A final reflection point.
Exactly. It simply asks, what's one positive thought you're choosing today?